You know, a few months back I did a review on how awesome Triple R was, how it's one of the greatest action films of all time, and how I was surprised with just how much heart was contained between its over-the-top action sequences. At the end of the review, I said this: "So India, thank you for blessing the world with this piece of action art. And if you got any more like it, bring them onward." And wouldn't you know it, I was flooded with more suggestions than there are tears in your average Kevin Smith cry session. But one film series stood on top of the mountain above all others: Baahubali. So for the sake of brevity, this will be a review of Baahubali The Beginning. And trust me, there is so much I could get into that 4 videos on The Beginning would barely scratch the surface. You could believe that. The film begins under the biggest waterfall you've ever seen. Some woman runs through the jungle carrying 2 things, a child and a giant arrow in her back.
No way!
She's on the run from a platoon of guards hunting her down. Her last dying act is saving the child. The child is plucked out of her dying hands by local villagers and is adopted by one of the women in the tribe. She gives the baby the name Sivu. Sivu is a rebellious youth who's always disobeying his mom. If this would be set closer to 1950s America, he would have been smoking cigarettes in the boys' room, playing chicken with cars, and having knife fights in the abandoned quarry.
What are you crud chicken? Don't call me that!
Now, the gigantic waterfall on the side of the mountain is important because, as a child, Sivu is drawn to climb it, despite his adopted mother's desperate pleas not to. He wants to scale the mountain, and damn it, he's going to do it no matter what or who tries to stop him. And this mountain is huge. I mean, honestly, the only movie mountain I can think of bigger than this one was the mountain of coke sitting in front of Al Pacino in Scarface. What's clever about this set piece is the way SS Rajamouli uses the waterfall as a device to montage Sivu's age and strength progression. He goes from adolescent to teen to young adult in a span of about 5 minutes as he progresses further up the mountain. This mountain also serves as a metaphor and foreshadowing of what's to come. Seriously, this setting is like a Taco Bell 7-layer burrito without having to experience the brown waterfall out your ass at the end of it. As Sivu continues his rise to the top of the mountain, he encounters the girl of his dreams. She is the reason he can climb to new peaks. He peaks all over the place. He's peaking right now while I'm talking. They have a song and dance together as he climbs higher and higher. And while he reaches the climax, she was just a dream, a figment of his imagination, leaving him rock hard on a plateau. Typical.
I'm gonna walk this situation off, and I will see you later.
Once at the plateau, Sivu's drawn to explore the new worlds he's climbed, and immediately crosses paths with his fantasy girl. Hey, where you going, baby? Hey, I'm talking to you. Oh, you're getting a sword, and now you're slicing and dicing, fools. You truly are the girl of everyone's dreams, aren't you? Turns out she's part of a gang attempting to save their queen from captivity, and our dream girl warrior is picked just for that task. You're still not sure of anyone's motivations at this point, but fear none, dear viewer, all will be explained. Okay, well, some will be explained, but it's enough to keep you going. Sivu courts our warrior dream girl, Avanthika, while she's on her way to save the queen. He does it with another song and dance number, paired with the best undressing fight scene known to man. Later, after watching this scene, I tried these moves on my wife, but it ended horribly when she cut my arm off with the sword she was holding. Hold up, did homie here just shoot white flowers on her face? I think we all know what that means.
Stop that. You're not going into a song while I'm here.
Jeez, we get it. You had sex. We got a job to do, and that job is to kick ass. And since they are now practically married, Sivu says her mission is now his, and together they will save the queen. As they journey to free the queen, we are treated to another storyline to where this queen is being held prisoner. We get some hint of who she is, but we also are introduced to the presumptuous and ruthless king who's imprisoned her. With an iron fist, the king rules his king. Whoa! Did he just bring a bull to its knees with his bare hands? Is that even possible? Be right back. I gotta go hit the gym. We learn the evil king wants our captured queen to suffer rather than give her the benefit of a quick death. And he's just as vain as he is ruthless. To honor himself, he's erecting a 100-foot statue of, well, himself.
You have a massive erection.
Really?
When Sivu arrives at the erection ceremony, he single-handedly saves a group of slaves from being crushed by the falling statue. His face is revealed to one of the slaves who recognizes him, not as Sivu, but as Baahubali. The slaves chant this name, and like a virus, the rest of the citizenry follows. The 100-foot statue of the king is erected, but with Baahubali's name being chanted by everyone. This name means something to the people and to the king.
This means something. It's important.
And the king for the first time shows fear. Whoever Baahubali is, it means disaster for the throne he sits on. Baahubali eventually saves the queen and is brought to the desert where the tribe that adopted him, the gang that was trying to save the queen, and the king's guard and slave Katapa all come together to enjoy a massive flashback which takes up the last half of the picture. Here is where some of the missing pieces of the motivational puzzle begin to fill out as we're treated to what led up to the queen's capture, who Baahubali really is, and why he is so important to everyone involved. And it's the last half of the movie that we get to watch some of the most epic battle scenes since Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Mixed with the super strength and abilities of our flashback heroes, thrown spears go through several people, and one wields a giant mace the size of a beach ball. They even have a chariot pushing giant blades into hordes of invaders that reminds me of Ash's modified Delta at the end of Army of Darkness.
Say hello to the 21st century.
This all leads up to a dramatic conclusion that ends on a shocking cliffhanger that makes you thirsty for more. Director S.S. Rajamouli was extremely ambitious in his scale. The opening title sequence promises something grand and he delivers it. Sure, sometimes the CGI underperforms to the point where it's comical, like the scene where Sivu and Avantika use a large tree, the tree that he ripped in half with his bare hand, to escape an avalanche. At no point did you think they were truly in danger of being covered by all the falling snow, because they were clearly copy and pasted into the scene.
That's rough, buddy.
But there are other times where the shots, real or computer generated, look like they were paintings in motion. Hold for Dream Girl. Whew. Okay, let's try and move on.
Go back to work, everyone. Don't act like you're not impressed.
And even though Sivu's backstory for most of the picture isn't fully explained, he's the ideal hero you root for. He's physically strong yet caring and compassionate. He's a rebel but means well. He's an explorer who always seems to find a path that leads him to more than he bargained for, but always steps up to the challenge. It's a positive look at masculinity that most Western screenwriters and directors seem incapable of writing these days. If Western writers had their way, Sivu would take a backseat in his own story, while the real hero is the strong female protagonist that can do it all while berating him for not being as good as she is. Thank God for filmmakers like Rajamouli, who continue to keep the strong masculine character torch lit. The musical score is fantastic, and while others complain that it would abruptly cut off for new scenes, it is a tactic employed by Rajamouli to always capture the attention of the audience. Think of it this way. Ever been in a room where the TV goes dead silent? Where does your attention go? Rajamouli is a filmmaker who is able to tell a tight, cohesive story with intricate plots in the most simplest of ways. You never feel like the story goes over your head. Even when the fragments of character motivations seem lost, when Rajamouli hands you a piece, you're thankful rather than spiteful. And I love the fact that everything about this movie went big when it came to the action. The epic final battle is the last 30 minutes of the picture, and it's on a scale not seen since Braveheart or Return of the King. It's a moment in the film you didn't know you were waiting for until it starts. And once the battle begins, strap in. Baahubali is an Indian historical fantasy, and a damn good one. One any fantasy fan should not ignore. I'm sure a lot of lore inside Baahubali is lost on me due to cultural differences. But the themes of love, self-discovery, rising to the challenge, and destiny run deeper than any cultural divide. A sword merchant visiting the kingdom tells Katapa, spoken words and spilt blood can never be taken back. My word on Baahubali the beginning has been spoken. This film is great and one of the better fantasy movies to come out post the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'm climbing up the Baahubali mountain, my journey only halfway complete. But I can see Baahubali the conclusion at the peak. I'm out of here.